Hi, I'm Suki. Welcome to Getting Psychic, where you can listen to me use myself to test the theory that anyone can get psychic. Hello and welcome to Getting Psychic. I'm here with Luciana Santos. Luciana is a spiritual guide and healing arts practitioner rooted in reverence, ritual, and deep listening. Her path has been shaped by years of personal transformation with sacred plant allies and refined through 2 years of ceremonial training under a Mazatec teacher in the mushroom tradition. She is currently deepening her somatic practice through water release therapy, bringing a fluid, body-led sensitivity to her work. Luciana's approach weaves energy work, ceremony, and soul-aligned practices to help others reconnect with their truth. With grounded presence and intuitive grace, she supports people in shedding old layers, reawakening their inner knowing, and walking a path that feels more alive, more sacred, and wholly their own. Welcome, Luciana.
Damn. Hi. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. All right, well, let's dig in and just figure out what this is all about. Well, I always like to start at the beginning.
Okay. It's a good start.
Where did you grow up? And did you have any indicators in early life that you might find yourself on a podcast called Getting Psychic?
So I grew up half in Brazil and half in Guatemala City. So I
Okay.
will spend my first 8 years of my life in Brazil. And then we moved with my family to Guatemala and spent like 4 years there, 4 to 6 years there. And then went back to Brazil. And then 4 years in Brazil and back to Guatemala. And then after that, I came to the US. So I have
Okay.
both cultures within me. And
Hmm.
yeah, I never
Great.
thought I would be in a podcast at all.
Well, I'm happy to share your message. Okay, so were there indicators in your early childhood that um basically I want to know what were your first weird or magical things that you noticed that made you feel different?
I had, I do remember clearly, I was probably like 6 or 7, um, knowing that there were other dimensions within our dimensions. Like, I try to explain to people, I'm like, there are other people in this same space that we are, but we can't see them and they can't see us. And I remember telling that to my mom and people, and they were like, totally dismissed me. But I do remember specific, if I think about it, exactly where I was as a child, trying to explain that to people. And yeah, that was one of my first, like going back that I'm like, oh my God, I knew so much.
You knew.
Um, I knew.
That's amazing. And of course, you were just dismissed.
Yeah. Yeah. And my family are very, like, my mom's side is very medium ish. Like, my mom sees dead people, right? But she gets
Mhm.
scared, so instead of she blocks it up and went deep into the church.
Got
So
it.
my brothers can see things too. So we all see, but we're all kind of like we're trained not to see anymore.
Mhm.
That was a big thing that I started learning now later years with my mom. Getting older, she starts being more sensitive again, and she's more open to it. Now she calls me and be like, "This is what's happening." So I try to do cleansings, distance cleansing in her room and herself. Um, but yeah, it's like it's flourishing her too much right now at older age. But it's kind of cute
Yeah.
because it put us together again in a way that before was something that we wouldn't talk about. We all knew, but we don't
Yeah.
talk. And now she
Yeah.
calls and talks and describe what's happening, it's terrifying for her, but I find it very loving that finally we got found something that bound us together again.
Yeah, that's beautiful. It's so funny because just yesterday, my mom called me and said, "Hey, can you figure out who's sending me all these pennies?" And I was from heaven. And I
Yeah.
was like, "Yeah, I'm on it." But I feel like it is so nice to be able to connect over that stuff.
Yeah.
Even, even though it's like the older generation is learning from or relearning from their children. Not even though, I mean, I think that's incredible way to connect. It's an incredible way to connect.
Yeah. And they're starting to accept, right? Because that's the thing. It's like, I don't think they were in a generation to accept that much, at least not my mom.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
that's
totally.
kind of cool. Like, I went 2 years ago to visit my aunt. She was supposed to be she only had like 2 months to live. So I flew in and I started raking her every single day at the hospital. And my mom will be like, so my mom started like accepting it. I asked if I can Reiki her. She's like, no, no, no. She was scared of it. But every
Yeah.
night my aunt will be laying down there. She's like, I'm waiting for your prayers. I'm like, okay, come in. So it's pretty cute to see them changing that way.
Yeah, that's beautiful. All right, well, let's talk about your plant medicine path.
Okay.
How did you get on it? What was your first experience with plant medicine?
It was an accidental experience. Um, I was overworked on the tech industry. I was working like 14 hours a day, COVID time. My relationship was like awful. So everyone is stuck in the house, bad relationship, and I'm working super hard. I came to a point that I was extremely depressed in a really dark spot of my life. And I look out of the window at work and I was like, can I just jump and end this? And I literally was like, well, it's the second floor. If I jump, I might not die. I was like, I might end up just ugly. I'm like, do I want that? And that's when it
Oh my god.
clicked that I'm like, oh my God, and I'm in a really dark spot. So
Yeah.
I just Google because I used to be a biologist. I was like, you know what? I maybe I just need to be on the with nature. So I Google jungle retreat. And I was in the meeting doing that in another screen, and I'm like, jungle retreat. I'm like, oh, that looks really cute. And it had like a sloth and everything. I'm like, yeah, sign me up. I paid 2 weeks of it. I did not read anything. I saw the photos. It matched what I want to see. And I'm like, and I book it for the 2 weeks and leaving 15 days from booking.
Oh my god.
And that's when I later on realized that I book a intensive ayahuasca retreat in the
Oh
jungle.
my god. Oh boy.
And that's how all started.
Yeah, holy crap. Do you think that was like a spiritual intervention right there?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, yeah, it was so I didn't even think about it, just, like, put the money, close it, and I'll be like, "I'm going," bought the tickets, and then continue working, and
Yeah. Well, clearly at that point you had nothing to lose. You were thinking about jumping out of a window. So,
yeah, yeah, yeah. So,
okay. Then what?
then I went, and the good thing is, like, I had a therapist with me, my Brazilian not with me, but, full access to her. And she's like, "You can do this." So I went, and the first teaching that I got was even before getting to the retreat. Is like when we meet, every single person annoyed the hell out of me. And I
Really?
called her and I was like, I don't think I can do this. I'm like, I'm pissed at everybody already. I'm like, everyone is freaking annoying. And she's like, well, every single person there is a mirror of you. So you're getting annoyed with yourself. And she's like, sit with every single one of them and find what annoys you and look inside. And I was like, Jesus. So it was a great learning to go in seclusion with a group of 19 people that I never met in my life. And
That annoyed the shit out of you?
yeah, and just started loving them. It was beautiful. Yeah.
Tell us some things that you learned through your annoyance with them.
With yeah, one was like the cool guy who didn't want to talk to anybody, and I was like, "What the hell? Who'd you think you are?" And then I'm like, "Oh, wait a minute. I am that person right here, like judging everybody." And that was the first one that I'm like, oh, this is totally real. I'm like, I'm annoying at that douchebag
Yeah.
that is totally
Yeah.
like judging everybody. And I was sitting on the little couch and I'm like judging everybody. And I'm like, wait a minute, there's
Yeah.
something real here. Yeah, that was. And then when we went to the ceremony room and started talking, I was the only person that had no idea what ayahuasca was. And I was like, what? The only I have never even experienced with um pot or anything. So I was like clean and never had any besides childhood, like spiritual anything. I just went as a tech lost person. And my first ceremony was very loving, very almost like a welcome. So there was like a lot of female entities, like everything was welcoming and hugging and hugging. And I'm like, this is amazing. But at the same time, I started feeling everybody's energy and I couldn't understand that because I had no idea what an empath was. And then I will look at people and I will go deep into their journeys and I'm like, that's not mine. And there was a moment that I freaked out and I step out with a facilitator and I'm like, this is happening. And I told him the story of every single person. And he was like, just try to close yourself out. And I'm like, I have no idea what to do that. And so it was interesting because the next day we have group share. And in the group share, everyone was talking about their experiences and totally matched what I told the guy. I'm like, I told you. So the shaman sat with me and it kind of like start helping me to like start blocking, use my energy. And I'm like, I don't know what you guys are talking about. I was still on that point of, I don't know what kind of woohoo you guys are talking about, but I'm in the middle of the woohoo too. Um, yeah, it was hard lessons, but it was loving, kind way. So yeah, very grateful for that beautiful mistake.
Wow. Steep learning curve there.
Yeah.
What happened from there? What drew you to the mushroom path specifically?
Yeah, so on my first week of ceremony was a lot of healing. I had just lost my dad too. So it was a lot of healing, of letting go and saying goodbye. And he showed up in ceremony. But the second week of ceremony was more, everything was like mycelium and there were mushrooms popping up. And there was a lot of voices or connections saying like, we are all connected. Doesn't matter if you go far away or close, we're all connected. And they kept saying like, you carry this medicine, you carry this medicine, but I had no idea what it was. Um, so I kind
So
of
wait,
just,
you're in the jungle with a bunch of strangers doing ayahuasca and the mushrooms are visiting you. Correct?
yeah. So yeah, that's how pretty much it went. And then I spent a year just like integrating the whole journey. A year later, after a year, almost, yeah.
Wait, I need to interrupt. What does that look like? What is a year of integrating?
Yeah, that's a good question. A year integrating was I journal a bunch, right? I never journaled before. So I started journaling what happened in ceremony so I wouldn't forget. And then every day I would just started a practice of like gratitude. And then I would do a journal prompt like, what should I expect today? And I would just let it flow. Even if it was like two paragraphs or less. Start like training myself to be more connected. And I will sit down for 5 minutes in silence and meditate with the fire. So I started little things like that. And then I started getting curious. So I started taking little classes here and there. Like I took classes on how to heal with Arcturians, so how to connect with Arcturians and heal people in their sleep, put them in chambers and things like that. Very woohoo out of there, but it was really cool class from a
Mhm.
Brazilian lady.
That sounds like a good
It
class.
was pretty cool though. Um, and then I started my Reiki practices, learnings. I went to this lady who was doing my waxing, and she was like, "Hey, have you heard about Reiki?" I'm like, she's like, I'm like, what? And she's like, "What? What?" And she's like, "Have you heard about Reiki?" I'm like, "What are you talking about?" She's like, you should do it." Like out of the blue. I'm like, "Okay." So, and there were two other people who asked me about it. So I started going and receiving Reiki. And there were some people that were giving me Reiki. They're like, "Have you thought about studying Reiki?" I'm like, "No, I'm just receiving right now." But that stayed on my brain, right? So I started taking Reiki classes. And then I joined a meditation group here in Seattle. That is like you talk to the guides, and then she puts you in that deep meditation that is almost like hypnotic. So I started like going everywhere. My whole 2023 and 2024 was like a blast off. I'm paying everything. I'm learning because I didn't know where to go. And I still had that feeling. I'm like, I
Yep.
want to work with the mushrooms, but with someone that I just don't want to go and take mushrooms. And then
Mhm.
for my birthday, the owner of Arcana, where I went for a ceremony, he called me and I'm like, "Why did you call me?" And he's like, "Hey, I heard you're looking for a mentor for mushrooms." I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "Here's her name. Tell her that I sent you." I'm like, "Cool." So I call her and I'm like, "Hi." And I introduce myself. And she's like, "Yeah, come over next month or next 3 weeks." And I'm like, "Okay, I'm going." So I just flew into Oaxaca and drove a car for like 6 hours into scary freaking mountains that you see all the crosses of people that just go on the ledges um, to meet this lady
Mhm.
in Huautla. Um, and it turns out that she's like the daughter of the 13 grandmothers. So the UN put at 13 grandmothers, indigenous people from all around the world together so they can share the medicine. So her mother was the grandmother for the mushrooms. So she's been working with mushrooms since she's 3 years old. Like the family sits together. When someone is ill, they all take a little bit of mushrooms and they all like pray with the mushrooms. Um, so yeah, I went there and it was pretty magical sitting in ceremony with her. It's very religious. She mixes a lot of Catholicism with the Mazatec culture, but it's deep. It's very deep and serious and loving. Lots of love. And then I left. We stay in contact. And then I got laid off from work. And I told her, I was like, "Oh, I get off. Oh, maybe I can go and see you again." And she's like, "Yeah, come over for a month. I want you here." I was like, "Okay." So I went, and then she started guiding me through ceremonies, teaching me the culture. So I spent a month with her and living with her sisters at their mom's house. Um, so it was like a learning not only with the medicine, but it was the culture, the respect that they have for nature. We visited different shamans while there, so she wanted me to like learn from other shamans as well and have experience of other type of healing that is completely like something that I never had experience with. Like someone comes with corn and does a massive healing on you, and you can feel it the next day, pretty intense. So yeah, and then after that, she came over here and spent a month here with me too. So, and we keep in contact. Yeah, that's like in a nutshell, a big nutshell.
That's a big nutshell. Okay, here are things that are coming to mind. I need to make you go into more depth about the 13
Okay.
grandmothers because I want to share that information. But and it really strikes me that your path, things are being it was like are you even creating this magic? It's like your path, like things are being handed to you, people are being introduced to you, your job gets taken away from you.
Yeah,
That seems like a lot of gifts.
yeah, yeah.
What are your thoughts on that?
It's pretty amazing though. It's I'm not gonna say like, "Oh yeah, I'm so blessed." Well, I am. Sorry, I will. But it came like it was a big journey to get to this point, to just like everything happened when my ceremonies in Peru for the first time, when I did the switch of like, oh my god, the life that I was living, it's not real, like did not belong to me. And I remember like that did not belong to me. And when I kind of realized that, like to the cell level, everything started changing. Like my relationship went away, tried to come back, and then went away again. Um, and
Were you married or just had a partner
I
at that
was
time?
married, and then we got divorced, and then we tried to work things out, but it just didn't work. It was like it wouldn't fit in.
All during this
Yeah,
yeah, it's like that happened also during the same time
yeah.
frame?
So it was like
Wow.
I needed space from him, and I just moved out into my own apartment, and I went deep on who am I. And as soon as I start going deeper, and I did every single week shadow work. Like I will go and be like, why do I feel this way? And I will sit down with my therapist and I will be like, find that child that was feeling that way at that moment too. And try to match my feeling now to that child where that moment got registered
Yeah.
and heal that child. So every single week we'll find a new child. And then for the whole week,
Ugh.
I will work with that child until it goes away or until it incorporates in me. And if it didn't, we'll do it again. So that was almost 3 years of doing that work every single week. It was hard.
So did your therapist guide you through that work?
Yeah, yeah.
Is your therapist just like a normal, traditional Western therapist or what?
No, I try a bunch of normal Western therapists, but I wouldn't connect. I couldn't do it. They will make me more angry because they just stare and be like, "What do you want to talk about?" I'm like, "I don't know. You're the therapist." So I found this lady. She's from Brazil. She is in Brazil. Um, and she's an astrologer, therapist, and energy healer. So she's a trained therapist, but an astrologer too. So she puts your map, um, which sometimes will be super helpful. She'll be like, "Oh, you're feeling this way because Jupiter and something something are all bringing you down." And I'm like, she's like, "Just ride that wave." But then in our sessions, she'll be like, "So tell me what's going on," and I will just talk for 5 minutes. She's like, "Okay, that's enough. Close your eyes," and then we'll go deep. And she would just walk me through it, and yeah, it was pretty good. And then the last 3 months, 2 months that I stayed with her, we would just chat. And then she was like, "So, when are you gonna just quit this?" I'm like, "I'm not quitting." She's like, "Have you noticed that for the past 2 months, we're not doing any work, right?" And I'm like, I'm not ready. She's like, "No." And then she was like, "You've been trained to be doing this." She's like, "I've been training you this whole time." Because she will send me books and everything. She's like, "Read those books." Like to see like how energy, where it feels in the body and everything. She's like, "I've been training you." She's like, "I want you to continue this work with someone else." And I'm like, "Oh no, Mr. Miyagi, she was training me without knowing." But yeah, she's totally not a normal regular therapist, and yeah, love her to death.
Yeah, that's beautiful. So, is it safe to say that you were, instead of repeatedly looking at and discussing emotions, complaints, conflicts, you were taking them, how you were feeling, the emotions, and transmuting the energy of them?
Yeah,
Like you were going into them so that you could shift the energy instead?
yeah, that's so well put together. Yeah, yeah. Because I'll be like, "I feel so sad today," and she'll be like, "Where's the sadness feel in your body?" But we'll close the eyes, and she's like, "Hey,
Yeah.
now think about last time you felt like that when you were a child. What happened?" and you just sit there in silence until it comes out and you start talking. And yeah.
That's like intense work, but it's clearly really effective. Okay, so I'm noticing also another thread here. Everyone who you come across in your path sees something in you.
Yeah.
I have deduced that you're very humble, but what are they seeing?
Um,
That you're meant for this work?
yeah, pretty much. Yeah. That's what they keep saying. It's like, you don't belong in tech. You don't belong in the, you came here to do this. Even my therapist, she's
Yeah,
like, you're not going to go back to your regular job, right? She's like, it does not fit you.
yeah.
So yeah. And my teacher, she pretty much say the same thing too. She was like, you've been given this gift and it's my job to help you out. So yeah.
Ugh, so beautiful. Okay, so you haven't gone back to your job. This is your new life.
Yeah.
Now, what does it look like?
It's pretty amazing. Like I'm living my best life. Like there was a moment, I think it was 2 weeks ago, that I was sitting outside in the hammock and I'm like, and I'm looking at the trees, right? Everything is budding. There's like,
And to be clear, you live on an island off of
yeah,
Seattle,
and I
right?
live in a 10-acre forest. So
Hell yes.
I am surrounded by trees. And my hammock is under the trees, and I just kind of open up my eyes, and you can see uncountable shades of green. And every day, like I do my gratitudes every morning, and I look out, and it feels like everything gets brighter and brighter, and it's amazing. Like, and I was like, oh my god, I am on the top of my life. I'm just here. My
Fuck
heart,
yes.
I'm like exploding with love. I mean, people get bombarded with love. Some people can't take it, I think. But it's just like I love everybody. Oh, like so much. Sometimes I'm like hanging out, and there's this old man who comes over a wine shop that I work at, and he's like with his newspaper, and I get teary because I love him so much. Like just seeing him walk in, and
Oh
I'm like,
my
oh,
god.
here comes Stan. I don't know. I'm living my best life, and there was a moment I'm like, and I stop. I'm like, wait, 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 wait. It doesn't mean it's ending. I'm like, I'm not exiting right now. I'm not taking an exit right now. It's pretty good. You guys are gonna leave me here for a while. Yeah, it feels
Yeah.
pretty.
You're not gonna jump out of that two-story window.
No, no, hell no. It's funny because I look at that, and I had to go with her for a while to like heal that Luciana that was so closed up, so angry. And I look at myself in photos, and I'm like, wow, it feels like another person. But I couldn't
Yeah.
do that dissociation. I have to bring her in because she's still part of me. I cannot be like, oh, she's
Mhm.
another, doesn't belong to me anymore. No, it does. It's part of me. Because without
Yeah,
her,
you gotta bring her
I
along.
wouldn't be here. So, yeah.
Absolutely. Alright, well, let's move on to your work now.
My work now. Yeah. So I do Reiki. Close people come to me for Reiki. I'm thinking about expanding again. I had a clinic, not clinic, a studio when I was not in the island. So I closed that when I moved to the island, and I'm debating of opening one or not yet. And in the meantime, just people keep coming up and asking, and so I have a room in my house set for that. Um, so I do
Perfect.
that. I do guidance with people that come in and just wanna. I don't call it therapy because it's just like, okay, let's talk. And then when people are talking to me, it just feels like, okay, let's go this way. And it's not a therapy, it's, I don't know, just guidance. At the same time, I'm running energy on them, just like a healing moment. So I do that. People also just come in and ask. I haven't advertised anything. But that's what I've been doing. And then I do ceremonies, like private ceremonies with mushrooms. And I'm helping with a friend. We're like doing a co-ceremony with the Sapo DMT as well. Yeah.
You want to talk about what that is?
Yeah. So DMT, it's medicine taking from the Sonora Desert frogs. It's from their glands. Um, so I've been working with Pepino. We both met at Arcana. Um, and he been training for that for many, many years with the tribe, not tribe, from the people in the village that actually are the guardians of the frog. So the medicine is extracted from the bufo and is dried out, so it's crystallized a little bit, and you smoke it in ceremonial, and then Pepino just guides you through it. Like he think that play the drums, sings a lot of like their songs, and it lasts like 15-10 minutes. But it's almost like the god molecule. That DMT was what opened me. Like even though I have been working with ayahuasca, um, and mushrooms, like DMT was like what opened me up to really be who I am now. Like the bird that came up with DMT. And
What do you mean when you say the bird that
the
came
bird
out?
that came out. Well, when I'm in ceremony or with plant medicine or any other medicine, I almost like start channeling a whistle, a high pitch whistle. But it's a
Oh,
bird sound. It's a whole very high pitch, and then I move my hands too. I cannot just demonstrate it because it doesn't come out as that. But it's a very high frequency and healing sound. And that came start coming up first with DMT. Like it just popped completely. And since then, it's like every time that I'm in ceremony, or even when I'm raking people, sometimes when they are really tight, um, I start whistling. I keep it try to keep it low sometimes when I'm raking people so they don't get startled. People that really know me, I just let it go
yeah.
and let them experience that
Yeah.
healing. But yeah,
Is what is your that toning like vibrational therapy, you think?
maybe. Well, no.
Undetermined?
Undetermined, yes. Like, I have a few readings, yeah, a few readings that I ask, like, "What is it?" And people just always say, like, it's an ancient, like, light language that comes in as a whistle, but it doesn't go whistle, it goes, like, different tones, up and down. It it makes it almost your ears going like, "Woom, woom, woom," and when I'm doing it, I can see light going out, and then it's almost like a grid going out too. It's pretty beautiful and intense. Like it took me a while to let it go and just do it because I was very conscious about it.
Mm,
Um, so,
yeah.
but yeah,
Okay. All right. So I interrupted you explaining more of DMT in order to get that, but what were you going to say?
no, it's just like something that it used with the ceremonies are one to one, so it's not everyone at the same time. You sit down in a mat, and it's usually two people. Like this time, it's Pepino and myself. You smoke in the DMT, hold it, and then you just go at a whole different level. And you lay down and you go into your journey. And the beauty of DMT is like it takes you to exactly where you need to go, right? Ayahuasca, you it's almost like an encyclopedia of your life. It goes like tons of pages, a lot of information. With mushrooms, it's the loving way, slower than ayahuasca, the process. With DMT, it's almost like, okay, this is where we need to pinpoint right now, and just takes you right there. But when she brings you back, it brings you with so much love. And that's the main difference from all the other medicines. DMT, you always, even if you go and see your biggest shadow, deal with it. When you come back with so much gratitude and love that Um, it's
Mhm.
extremely healing for people, especially people with PTSD. Yeah, I've seen so many beautiful transformations with it.
That's amazing. Okay. In your perspective, why are we here on this planet with access to these things? Do we need them to heal, or are they just an opportunity?
No, we do not need them to heal at all. I think there are tools like, when you're really stuck in the mud, that it doesn't matter how much you hit your accelerator, your car would not move. But if you put something underneath, your car start moving and then you can go on your own way.
Yeah, they, like, create traction.
Yeah, there are people that are stuck in that mud trying to get out. Like I was. I don't think I would have gotten out without the big bump on medicine. But do I need it all the time? No, I don't. Um, it's just like it feels the way that I see it and the way that it's being given to me, like in ceremony. It's like, like you're sitting on your little swing and someone pushes you. That's the plan. And then you go into your own swing, but you have to move your own legs to keep swinging, right? The medicine's not going to be there. And then you swing your legs as much as you can. You enjoy the moment. You learn from that. And sometimes people just want to go a little bit farther. And then it's when you do your jump. You jump, you keep walking. And sometimes you want to jump into the swing and being pushed by medicine again. But it's not something that is necessary. You can accomplish some healing with, like, you can accomplish healing with, like, breath work, meditation, therapy for sure. Like, I do suggest, like, people should do always therapy alongside with plant medicine because it complements, or any type of guidance, because it complements a lot. But yeah, it's not necessary, but it's almost like the world will be like, okay, here's your push. You guys can do this, but don't overdo it.
Yeah. Yeah, I was just thinking, our species has a tendency to homogenize and overdo and capitalize on everything, and I know that even includes sacred plant medicine,
Yeah.
and there are a lot of opportunities to go do it, like, all over the
Hmm.
place. If someone is listening to this episode and they're called to do it, do you have any recommendations on how to be discerning?
Yeah.
Because I feel like it's important to have a like, safe container.
100%. I do believe that not only like the container, but you need to know like where the medicine comes from. What were the intentions when the medicine was taken, right? Because it comes with the energy of whoever is working with the medicine. It's not like, oh, here are some mushrooms that I got. Like you need to know like were they taking with permission? Who was handling them? Was the guy drunk just picking up mushrooms? There's a lot to be. People are like, oh, I had such a bad trip on mushrooms. Like, do you even know where they came from? Or even people around you? Because when you're implementing, you open yourself up. You open yourself up for other people's energy as well. So the container is pretty important. Um, and the people guiding, like having a guide that is there to, like when people are in ceremony with me, I'm always tapping in on not into their journeys, but into their feeling, right? If it feels too like tight, I go in and like reiki them or talking to them. Like you have to have someone guiding you. Don't just take take it and wish it for the best because it's hard and is yeah, it's being capitalized. You can see you can buy mushrooms anywhere. You can work with ayahuasca anywhere. People just put a boombox there. But when you realize the importance of the channel with the medicine, um, it makes a big difference. Who is there giving you space? Who is there singing the songs? Who is like protecting the space so you can be safe in your journey? How you pick those people? For me, I always ask myself, and this is for everything, right? I'm like, how does it feel? And I close my eyes really fast, and I'll be like, if it feels like good, I go for it. But it's really fast, and it feels like if I just have a little bump, I'm like, nope, that bump is enough.
Yeah.
Like we
Yeah.
all intuitive people, and just like close your eyes and ask from your heart,
Totally.
and you will know. Yeah, and yeah,
Instantly.
and I
Yeah.
have some recommendations too. Like someone wants to reach out and talk about it.
Yeah. Can I put your contact
Yeah.
in the show
Mhm.
notes? Okay, so it makes me laugh because I'm thinking of this one time I did like I occasionally eat mushrooms recreationally and it's like a tiny amount. But one time I was like, I'm gonna eat more than usual. And then I spent like I live in the city, I have a yard, but I spent the whole time laying on my back porch and my husband's like sitting in a chair. We're both so sad. And I was like, oh shit, all of our trees are so sad. And then I came inside and I stared at the wall and I was like fucking miserable. Okay. I was like locked in my body and just so sad. And then I met the guy who grew them and I was like, no wonder. Like, I'm not gonna say anything more, but I was like, "Are you kidding me? Consider the source,
Yeah,
kids."
yeah. And I
That's all I
Reiki,
have to
like, the
say.
mushrooms and everything before I even take them. It's another thing that you can do, like, if you don't know this,
Say that again, you
I Reiki
what?
my mushrooms
Oh,
through
okay,
an
yeah.
energy, and I put intentions on them, and you talk to them before you take them, right? Even recreational, just be like, "Be kind and gentle," or just put the intention right there. Even if it's for fun, just like, "Okay, I just wanna have fun. I wanna be mellow. I wanna be full of happiness." Just like talk
Yeah.
to the mushrooms, talk to the medicine, because it is little spirits.
Yeah, you call them Niños
Yeah,
Santos, right? All of these medicines have a consciousness. Can you talk about that?
yeah, like everything has consciousness, right? So for me, the Niño Santos is just like a very happy, pure conscious, like childish type of thing. Very gentle. But yeah, like if you talk to them, like I grew my own, and it's interesting when I open up the tub and I'm like, I can even almost not hear them, but feel that they're all laughing. There's so much love that they emanate that I'm like, yeah, this is just not nothing. There is like freaking amount of love that comes out of them, even just looking at them. But yeah, they can teach you a lot. Because at the same time that I was like, oh my God, you're so beautiful. And I'm cropping them and talking to them. And I always have like frequency. One fell off, a tiny little one. And I was like, oh, this is so cute. I'll just have this for tonight. And I just pop it in without any intention, without not doing anything that I always been thought, dude, it was all night long. I was spinning in my bed and I was going through every single shadows and everything. And I was like, so much teaching.
Oh,
And I was
oh,
like, I need to go to work in a few hours. I'm like, come on, come on, come on, let me sleep. So yeah, I learned too from
oh my
like they can
god.
be gentle, but they also need to be like, okay, remember, remember, respect. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. Wow. Alright, so, like, how have your spiritual gifts opened since this all began?
Oh. Um I have been more aware of people's feelings, like almost like I can have a conversation with someone and just be like, "Oh, they're not into this." Like it almost feel like I can not read them, but read them. understand people a lot more better.
Yeah.
I think the biggest thing was compassion, like huge learning in compassion. And like, it feels like I had lived like 10 million lives in this lifetime. Like, I went through so much already that when people come to me, I'm like, yeah, I know how that feels. I'm like, having compassion for people, even when they're doing things that it doesn't align with you, but it's still understanding the reason why they're going through, the reason why they did X, Y, and Z, and having compassion for them. I think that was the biggest gift I got. Like, forget all the phenomenal things, but having compassion for humans, no matter what, I think is like the most amazing thing I have received. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I really want you to talk about judging other people.
Yeah. Um,
Because this is kind of like where that started for you. You're like judging everyone at that ceremony.
yeah.
I want to know about your advice for when we find ourselves judging people.
Yeah, like yeah, that's a great question. So I still find myself being like, "Oh my god, look at that guy." I'm like, "Whoa!" So for me now, it's like it's really fast, right? When it happens, I'm like, "Oh, here we are." So every time that I feel like I'm judging someone, the first thing I do is like, "Thank you." I'm being grateful for that person out there because that is something that I need to work on. Whatever I'm judging, and it's uncomfortable. It's so freaking uncomfortable to be like, okay, why am I judging that? And then not being like, oh, because she is doing this. I'm like, no, it's not about her, it's about me. That uncomfortable part of putting what I just judged back on me, it's hard, but it helps so much. Like, I will say that just be grateful that there are people there that have signed up in this life to show up in front of you so you can judge them and look at yourself of like what exactly I don't like from that, and then look at you that look at you so hard because you block it. You're like, no, but just go deep and be like, okay, I am like that a little bit, and then just try to figure it out, like what you want to change, because if you don't like in that person, you shouldn't like it in you. Yeah.
Yeah. I think like we can get into a place where we're like, oh, judgment is bad. I'm not going to talk shit about people. I'm not going to do this. But then we reserve some little pockets that where we think it's okay.
Yeah.
Like, oh, well, even in the spiritual community, like, well, they seem to be somewhat evil, and I'm of the light.
Yeah, no, we all have evil in us. There is no light without darkness, right? um you couldn't do you couldn't be happy all the time if you weren't sad once. Like, as humans, we're constantly judging, and I think the judgment that comes with it is just mostly the things that we don't agree with, and instead of looking into ourselves, we just judge. I mean, I'm not safe from judging. I still judge. I still like in situations right now, even right now with some close friends that I'm like, why is this person doing this? This is so wrong. And then I sit at home, I'm like, is it wrong? I'm like, morally might be wrong, but those are like human rules. And then I go into this spiral. So sometimes I have to even hold myself from going too much into a spiral and just like, just let things be, right? The main thing is like it can be a mirror for yourself to look into it. And it's also just like learning to let things be. The first question I ask is like, does it affect myself? Does it have any impact on my life? No. And then it's like, why do I feel this way? Is the second question. And sometimes it's just like it can be shadow work. And the other one is like moral rules that we being ingrained in our head from we being born and raised, right? So um, yeah, we especially on the healing area that is there's a lot of light and there's a lot of love. And then there's a lot of ego, and there's a lot of evil too, right? Like you see a lot of stories of people going into ceremony with people that they don't know, and people get abused sometimes in ceremony because they put themselves in a vulnerable space without knowing they're going. And we will consider that as an evil space. And I won't say that was something of light, something to learn. It's just, yeah, evil working out, and everyone has the duality, right? Without the evil side, there won't be the light side. Um, but we just have to learn where we want to be in this spectrum of our duality. We cannot be all light all the time. It's not sustainable. And being evil all the time is pretty bad. So most of us just stay in the middle. Some people just lean more towards light. Some people lean more towards darkness. But we have that. We are dual beings. It just depends where we want to be. And judging other people is just another way of judging ourselves. That was a long answer for that.
Loved it.
Okay.
Let's go back to explaining who the 13 grandmothers are.
Yeah, so they are a group of indigenous people from all around the world, and they were representing different healing modalities from where they came from. Like from Brazil was the ayahuasca grandmother, Mexico, the one that I know, it's La Abuelita Julieta, which was representing the mushrooms, and there are a few from Alaska and then all over the place. So they did get together um, the first time, all of them together in front of the Dalai Lama, and their main goal is like to share wisdom, to share their medicine. They start sharing with themselves, so they start making ceremonies with themselves, sharing their own medicine, their own wisdom with each other, and then sharing it with the world, just to create more healing practices, healing the earth, and more like sharing their wisdom with humanity. That was like the main goal of it.
It's amazing. Okay, so what was the most profound thing that you learned from the you've been mentored by the daughter of one of the 13 grandmothers?
Yes,
What are some things that you've learned from her?
things that I learned from her. Jesus, that's a big question. It's a lot of with her. The main focus that she did with me was to bring me back to my Ruth. Right? She was very keen. Like I couldn't see myself. Probably like I was not associating myself with like my true roots, my like African Brazilian roots and European roots. And she worked really hard to be like go deep with yourself. And the most profound ceremony with her is like finally I sat after hours of work. I just sat, and it felt like I was in the mud in the jungle, and I have a bunch of grandmothers around me, and each one came in and they started doing a cleansing on me, and then almost like offering a gift and a wisdom. And because for me I was like, oh, I'm just Brazilian. And she's like, no, go deeper. I'm like, she's like, you grew up in Guatemala, you grew up in Brazil, you have ancestors in Europe, go deep. And I'm like, it was the most confusing part of me to just like go extremely deep to where I come from. And I thought it was like one root. And then finally I just saw, I was like, no, I come from a bunch of places, right? And just learning how to live with all those pieces with me. It was profound. It sounds pretty simple, but when you're so mixed and like I mean like it was hard to deal with like my European side because I'm like, oh, they just came and pretty much killed my native side and pretty much enslaved my African side. So I'm like I always had this like fight with myself, but just learning how to have gratitude for my ancestors, the European ancestors, because if all the violence hadn't happened, I wouldn't be here. So it's kind of like giving them gratitude and also forgive them from my, like, I will stay on my, like, native side, looking at my European side, asking for forgiveness and forgiving that side and back forward. So I would sit with each side of me into kind of like I incorporated them all in. That was a big learning, just to just be me. There was no like astral thing and those like galactic, which I love and everything, but it's just being the essence. It was beautiful. Just be me, be in essence, be with my child self. Like, that was extremely profound, very simple. And that's when I learned is like, you don't have to like discover the meaning of things when you just kind of like, oh, I just have to be. It's simple, but, and people always say, oh, just be. And you can just be, but it doesn't click. But when the just be actually click, it's almost like I finally got inside of my body. The whole time I felt like my soul is always here, my body's here. But I finally was like, oh my God, I feel complete. I'm like, people ask me now, it's like, don't you feel alone, like living in the jungle, in the forest by yourself? I'm like, no. They're like, are you bored? I'm like, you have no idea the conversations that go in my mind. I'm like, no, we're well entertained over here. Just be in peace with me was magical. Yeah.
That's beautiful. Part of me wants to talk about how you guide people through ceremony.
Or we can just talk about healing. Like, at the end of the, I am not a healer. I am not healing anybody. I am not
Mm-hmm.
like giving therapy or advice to anybody. I am just holding space, right? When people come and talk to me,
Mm-hmm.
I don't be like, okay, let me help you. I don't put myself in that higher and a hierarchy. I'm like, oh, you need help. I'm just
Yeah.
sitting one on one. We are the same. And just be. That's the most healing part of a human. You just be present and just bring in whatever the person is wanted help with. But it's not like, I don't know, if it's not help, it's just like people just want to be heard. People just want to be held and like in the same level. And that's the most healing part of it, is just like be honest, be present, and you doing the healing without even knowing that you're doing the healing. And it's just, it's
Mm-hmm.
pure magic. And it happens with me when I sit with some other friends. I have to tell some friends right now, like, you guys have no idea the amount of healing that you did last week with me. But just sitting there, and they had no idea. Like, but I feel like I needed to tell them because like it's important for people to know that they're just healing, just being present. Yeah, just be present with an open heart. It's the most healing, and that's kind of like how you change the world. You don't have to go out there and do magical things, and you just be with an open heart. Yeah,
Okay. I think that's the message we want to end with.
yeah, I think so.
Well, awesome. Well, I'm so grateful to you. Thank you for talking to me
Thank
today.
you. Thank you for making me put all that out. Then you know me. I know I'm pretty quiet on my own little corner, so thank you for.
Yes. Well, yeah, I have to say you are extremely humble, and that's cool. I was really trying to drag some stuff out of you, but I think the important message is going to come across.
Thank
So
you.
that's awesome. Thanks so much for listening. We hope you enjoyed today's conversation as much as we did. Be sure to subscribe and follow us wherever you get your podcasts so that you never miss a new episode. If you liked today's episode, please consider leaving a review to help the other psychics find their way here.